Hi everyone, it's Helen here and thank you for joining me today. So today's tutorial we're going to be making this lovely trifold shutter mini album. So this is the outside. Okay, I'm sure you'll be wanting to know what's on the inside. Let's quickly get to that. So it opens up like this. So it's a trifold shutter album and it's actually really easy to make. It might look complicated around these parts, but I'll show you a really easy way of getting those cut in. So I've used the Sweet Nothings paper collection from first edition paper. So don't worry about writing any of the dimensions down or asking questions where I bought things from. There'll be a product list down below and there'll also be a cutting guide on my website and all the links will be down below for that. So sit back and relax. So this Sweet Nothings is absolutely perfect for making these little mini albums because you get this couple of pages here of cutter parts. So I've used some of those in here to make little tags and tuck points. So it's really easy to make. So we're going to start off with a new product actually that has made it into my craft room and I'm really excited about this. Now this is the We Are Memory Keepers scoreboard and it's also a paper trimmer as well. So it has this really good function here. It opens up so you can fold it down flat for storage and it's in inches along the top and it's in centimetres along the bottom. And one thing I do struggle with here in the UK is most of our paper trimmers will have centimetres going down the side ruler here. On this one it's in inches and then just to the side here you have the centimetres as well. So this really is a good all-round trimming and scoring board. And this comes out, so we have this section here, it's just a lip there. So when we put our card in, it butts up against here and the numbers do go this way because it is a paper trimmer, so I will have to adapt to working backwards. So I'm used to working the other way with the scoring. I'm sure I'll be able to adapt to that. So this comes out and it turns over, so this side is now flat, so then we can use it as a paper trimmer as well. And not only that, you get this little onboard storage here and that pops out. So we're going to start off with cutting our cardstock down. We'll start with a 12 by 12 piece of white paper, card, sorry. And I'm going to open this. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is these blades, you can order new blades as well, so those are readily available and I got mine off Amazon. So I'm going to trim this down to 9 inches. So it's nice and sharp. And then we're going to turn this over. So we're going to do our scoring now. I'm still getting used to this board. I've only used it once before, so just getting used to it. So turn it with the 12 inches along the top. And we are going to score at 3, 6 and 9. So if I move this down, I can give you the measurements in centimetres. It does go a bit funny here, so I'll do my best to give you the right measurements. So it falls at 7.5, so it just goes over 7.5, but that's where the groove goes in. 15.3 and 22.9. Okay, so now moving on to our cutting. Let's switch this back over. So we're going to be cutting these lines here. You can measure it out with a ruler, so it needs to be 2.5 inches down from here, which is a little bit awkward to do, but you can measure it out with a pencil and a ruler. So we're going to put our paper in. Sorry, I keep saying paper, it's card. We're going to put it in at the 6-inch mark. And then we're going to take our scoring blade and we're going to start at the 1.5 here. So there is a little arrow here, so you can actually line that up. So I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to move this up again, and I'm going to stop at 10.5, just like so. And that should give us our line. So turn it back over and do exactly the same. So we're down at the 1.5, and we're going to go all the way down to 10.5. Let's move this up. So if you want that in, oh, I went a bit over there, but never mind. Right, so if you want that in centimetres, let's work that out, because it's right next to the centimetres here. So we have 1.5, which is 3.8, and then we have the 10.5, which is 26.7 or 8, so it's in that area there. Let's pop that away. We're done with that for the time being. So now we have this. I'm just going to grab my example here so I can fold it correctly. So we're going to be folding this one. Oh, that didn't go through. I'm just going to grab my craft knife. I didn't press hard enough. There we go. Right, so we're going to fold this one up like so. We're going to sort the middle section out in a moment. I'm going to fold it in half this way, and then we're going to fold this one up, so it's going to look like that. And then this one needs to now be bent in the opposite direction, so just push the middle section through and then fold that. So now we have a valley here, so this one needs to be turned into a mountain. So that one goes up like so, and this one needs to go up like so. I'm just going to grab a ruler now, because we have our lines now. So I'm going to join the end of these two cut lines together. I'm going to carry on using the bone folder that came with the scoreboard. I'm just going to press that down, and then do the same on the other side. We can reinforce those. This one is a little bit wonky actually. Let's just try and fix that. That's going to stick out the edge of our book. That looks even. There we go. Right, let's try and get that new score line in. There we go. Right, so now what you can do is you can cover these with your cutout squares. So these measure, each square measures. Oh, I'm making a mess over here. It measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So you'll need 10 of these. And then we have 2 halves here and 2 halves there. So those measure 2 3/4 by 1 1/4, and you'll need 4 of those. So you can decorate it now, or you can decorate it after you've got everything together. So I'm going to decorate this off camera, because I've already got one here and I haven't decided what papers I'm going to actually use for this. So there is a section we need to cover up before we add the back covers and the front covers. So if you can see here, I have this section here. That's an extra section you have to put on if you don't want the back cover exposed, as you can see here. I've got this the other way around. There we go. There's a gap there, so we're going to turn that over, and then we're going to just quickly cover this with some cardstock. With this one, I've used some pattern paper to match the album, but because I don't know what papers I'm going to be using for this one, I'm just going to stick to plain. So I'm going to grab some Collall glue. I'm going to add it around the edge. I'm not going to add it to the card, I'm going to add it to the edge, just around here. And then what you do is you line up this edge there, so with the score line, so it all lines up. And do the same on the other side. There we go, so we're going to set that aside to dry while we work on the back cover. So I have two pieces here. I have one already prepared, so this is just made from ordinary white cardstock, and I folded over the edges just to reinforce the edges, and it does actually feel quite sturdy doing it that way. So I'll do the same with this one. So grab your scoreboard again. One thing I do forget to keep doing, I forget to keep closing this glue, and then it dries on the top. Okay, so grab your scoreboard again, turn this over. So these covers measure 4 1/4 by 10 1/4, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. So yeah, this album is so quick and easy to make. You can have loads of these made if you have a few of them to make. So just do that. Keep the bone folder handy still. So we're going to fold our creases up. So we're going to have, if you look at the score lines here, we have the mountain side there and the valley side. We're going to stick with the mountain side on the inside, and then we're going to fold inwards just like that. That means it doesn't stretch the fibres in the paper, and we won't get any cracking around the edges. Double-sided tape. I'm just using ordinary 1/2 inch double-sided tape. The best tape to use would be the red tape. I have some here, but it's going to be quicker for me to demonstrate with this ordinary tape, so I don't have to get the scissors out. So I'm going from each score line to each score line. I'm going to grab my clear block with a straight edge just to cut that. We're going to be trimming off the corners, so we don't need to go over the score lines. And there we go. Right, burnish down your tape. This will make a huge difference in getting the backing paper off, and you'll also get a better stick as well. Okay, so grab your scissors, we're going to cut the corners off. There we go, I have cut it right up to where each line meets. There we go. Right, I'm going to just grab my paper piercer, it's just a spike, just to help me lift the backing paper off. So now we'll press that down, bone folder again, and press that down really well. I like to do opposite sides, I always work from opposite sides. Okay, so now we do the two ends. And if you do get a funny edge here, you can just turn that with your finger just to poke that round the edge there. Okay, so now we have two of these. You can then get on with sticking these together just like so. So I'm going to fold this up. I'm going to try and make sure it stays closed. There we go, it did dry a little bit. It's quite warm in here today, so it makes my glue dry a lot faster. I remember one summer I was doing a tutorial, I think it was one of my first summers on YouTube, and my glue was drying so fast, it was drying before I could get it onto the other piece of card. It was that warm. I think I gave up soon after that and came back later when it was cooler. Right, so pop this on there. Just getting it as even as you can. Turn it over and just get the bone folder and press that down. There we go, there's our first one. So if you do want to do sturdier covers, you can just do a chipboard and a wrap over it. So the chipboard would be the same size as this, so let's measure that. This measures 3 1/4 by 9 1/4, and then you just wrap it as you would with a normal mini album and then add it on. But I'm finding these quite sturdy, so I'm happy just to keep it as it is. Okay, so add this one on the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to line it up with the front cover first. This is why using wet glue for this is quite good. So get that on there, and then just double check that it's sort of even all around. I think I did quite a good job with that one. Yes, I'm happy with that. So there you go. There's our Trifold mini folio. So all we've got to do now is add your papers to the front, and if you want one of these ribbons, get this to close up now, there we go. If you want one of these ribbons to tie around the front, you need to add a strip of double-sided tape to the back, so choose which side's going to be your back. So I'm just going to get this prepped up for when I do cover it. So I'm going to add a line there. So that's all ready, and all the dimensions for the papers for the outside of the album, those will be on my website as well. I'm going to press that down. There we go, so you can cover that as you wish, and you can also decorate the back as well. It does get hidden a little bit by this section here, but there's plenty of room there just to do both sides if you want. So I'm just going to quickly talk about, just before we go, just going to quickly talk about some of these embellishments that I've made. These are handmade, so I've used this gorgeous green paper here from the paper pack, and I've used some heart dies from Creative Dies. So I've cut out various shapes, and I also use some of the pattern paper as well. And then to make it shiny, as you can see, these are shiny, lovely. I've heat embossed them with ultra thick embossing powder. Now I've used this for many years. I absolutely love this. So it's very thick and grainy sort of embossing powder. It's like sugar. It's very thick, and when you heat it up, it really does give a really good thick clear coverage. And so what you'd do is you'd cut out your heart shapes, smother them in Versamark ink, add the ultra thick embossing powder, and then heat it up, and then that's it. And while it's still hot, you can then dip it back into the powder for another coat if you really want to build up your layers. So if you're interested in learning more techniques on using the ultra thick, because there are a few fancy things that you can do with this to make some great effects, let me know in the comments down below, and then I'll get working on a video. And in my last video, I had many requests after I showed my everlasting, or sort of my never-ending album. So I'm working on a tutorial for that as well. So just in case you did comment on my last video about getting the tutorial for that, I am going to be making one. So that will be out in the next couple of weeks. So I just need to find some nice papers to show you so I can demo it properly. So I'm really rubbish at tying bows. That's a dog's dinner, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to end the video here now, so if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like mini albums and you're new here, welcome to my channel, and I'd really like you to subscribe. There's plenty more mini album videos coming over the next few months, so I'm really getting excited about some of the ideas that I have. I can't wait to show you. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.